Hello. Okay, for those of you returning to the channel, welcome back. And for those of you that are new here, that have just stumbled upon this video, then thank you for joining me. And if you find yourself wanting to stick around to follow just some random Welsh geek ramble on about film and TV, then please hit that subscribe button. It will mean an awful lot to me. And yeah, welcome to my spoiler-free review of Evil Dead Burn. This one directed and written by Sebastian Vanacek. I've not seen his directorial debut, Infested, but I've been looking forward to this nonetheless. It's an Evil Dead movie. I really enjoyed Evil Dead Rise, and I've liked the trailers to Evil Dead Burn. I've been really looking forward to it. I am a little late catching it. I only managed to catch it this afternoon. It's been absolutely busy, so I do apologise. I am late with this review. So, Evil Dead Burn follows Alice, a grieving woman visiting her remote in-laws for her husband's cremation. The family accidentally unearth a Kandarian dagger, awakening demonic forces that possess the husband's corpse and the remaining family members. So, fans of the franchise, from what I've been reading, have been quite divided on this installment due to sort of how nasty this movie is and how mean-spirited it is. It's a very brutal and gory movie, as you would really expect with these films, but it is a very nasty experience. And do you know what? I really enjoyed that aspect of this movie. It's almost like a different flavour within the Evil Dead franchise. It still feels like an Evil Dead movie. It just lacks that slapstick humour and that kind of the over-the-top fun energy that we would come to expect with these movies. But I really didn't mind that. It's that kind of the meaner aspect, that kind of mean streak that this movie has that I personally found quite appealing. Like I said, it felt like an Evil Dead movie, but it had a different flavour, and I really kind of enjoyed that aspect of it. I was in the mood for something mean-spirited, I'll be honest with you. I've been really looking forward to seeing this movie, and the more I was sort of reading the reactions to it, especially when it comes to that kind of mean spirit, that sort of the nastiness of this experience, that got me even more excited, and it definitely ticked those boxes. There are some unsettling moments dotted throughout this movie, and there are some really nice, well executed moments of horror. Like, one of those moments are within the trailer where the camera tracked our main character Alice through this room, and we've got all this chaos going on around her. It looks like a fun scene within the trailers. It looks like a fun moment, and I love the way in which it was shot and how the camera is used throughout that scene, and how it sort of how it kind of tracks our main character through that room. But once you witness that scene unfold within the context of what they are exploring here thematically, it is incredibly unsettling, I felt. But it was also frustrating as well, because unfortunately as a whole, they're not quite successful at really kind of bringing to life perhaps the themes that they are attempting to explore you with these characters and their stories. We're exploring grief, we're exploring abuse, and growing up within a dysfunctional family and trauma. You've got some real kind of dark human themes here, and it's there, but for me it doesn't really kind of fully come to life to sort of swallow you up. It's a compelling aspect of the movie, and it is something that really intrigued me about what they were attempting here with these character stories. But unfortunately for me, a lot of it lies with the writing and how they set up its characters within the first 20 minutes of this movie. I found the first 20 minutes to be quite clunky, and I struggled to get into it. Once the movie gets going, I was enjoying myself. Having fun. I'm having fun, but in a different way, you could say. Because like I said, this isn't like, this is a very different tone, you could say, or flavour to what we would come to expect with these movies. Thematically, it's perhaps a little more intense, and I like that. You know, I was all up for that. But unfortunately, due to its execution with his writing and how it sets up its characters, it didn't quite fully achieve sort of bringing those aspects of the story to life in a way that kind of really just sucked me in and swallowed me up and really kind of got me invested with these characters. Visually, I admired the movie. Philip Lozano serves as the cinematographer here, and I really dug the look of this film. I think they do a wonderful job through the cinematography in kind of capturing the horror and what they are exploring here with its characters thematically. It is quite drab looking, you know, it's quite monotone. It's, I suppose, you know, in moments it looks quite dull and dark. You know, it's quite a drab looking movie, but I feel like visually it tells a story. And where they may fail at when it comes to sort of writing its characters and sort of setting its characters up, I feel like it makes up for with how they tell the story through its visuals and how lighting plays a part in that, especially within the third act. And so, yeah, from a technical perspective, especially from, you know, from a cinematography perspective, I found myself really admiring how the movie looked, because I felt like they did a really good job at kind of really bringing to life or conveying what I felt they were exploring you with its characters. I just think visually, I just liked it. I liked how the movie looked. I don't think it's going to be for everyone because of sort of the colour palette and how drab and dark it can look and dingy, you could say. But for me, it was working for what they were attempting you with the story. But I don't think it's going to be for everyone. And I just really appreciated that in moments they do a pretty good job at making me anyway feel unsettled, and it sort of touches a nerve in moments. And like I said, that kind of really led into then my frustration with it overall, because of just how I really couldn't get behind sort of the story of this family and these characters like Alice, who is sort of, you know, getting over the loss of her husband and just how all that plays into the story. It should have swallowed me up, and I really wanted it to. It should have been a hell of a lot more compelling than it was, and it's there, but due to the, like I said, you know, due to that execution and how I felt these characters were written and set up, it didn't quite pull me in like that. It didn't quite pull me in deep enough. But when I do get these moments that did kind of evoke those emotions from me, like being unsettled or just a little bit disturbed, you know, I like that. You know, there are moments that gave me goosebumps. Is this like, is this the scariest movie of the year? Is it one of the best horror movies of the year? No, it isn't. Unfortunately, it's not one of those. But in moments, it is effective. But as a whole, it just doesn't all quite connect. And there is a sort of video nastiness to it from like the 80s and the 90s that I really dug. Like, it kind of really reminded me of, you know, movies from the 80s and the 90s, those kind of very video nasty movies where it is quite, you know, brutal and graphic and violent. And, you know, it lingers on certain shots. And I really like that. You know, that is what, you know, going into this movie, that's what I wanted. It was sort of the mood that I was in. Make of that as you will. But, you know, it's very mean. And it does capture a certain era and a certain type of films in a way that I found incredibly nostalgic, and it did it really well. You know, it didn't just feel like an imitation of those movies. It really worked for me. And then I have to touch on the score, because I loved the score in this movie. Again, it's another element of this film that does a wonderful job at kind of really conveying the horror of what these characters are going through, and it just sounds wonderful. There are some pieces of music within this film that I just thought was amazing and really kind of elevated certain scenes and moments. It's composed by a Double Danger. I believe they're like a French duo. They are electronic French composers. I've never heard of them before, but I'm definitely going to be keeping my ear out for them because I think they deliver a fantastic score here that for me was one of the highlights, to be honest with you. I absolutely adored the score within this movie. And again, I think where the writing fails and where it fails at sort of with its story and the journey that these characters are on, I think it makes up for with the score as well. So yeah, not my favourite Evil Dead, but I liked it and I had fun, but not the same kind of fun that you would have perhaps with, the previous movies. This is definitely a different tone. It's a different experience in ways, while also feeling very much like an Evil Dead movie. I mean, there are a lot of sort of shots within this film, and just with how they use the camera, certain tracking shots that are kind of very clearly sort of homaging Sam Raimi and his style of directing and are imitating certain shots from previous films. I'm not really sure how I feel about that, because I would much rather a director come on board and kind of really add his own stamp to these films. At the same time, I found myself quite enjoying how they did use the camera throughout this film, even though it does feel like, at times it's like, they're imitating that certain tracking shot from the first film, and so it's like, okay, but it still works. I still liked it. I had fun with, with how they used the camera and how they shot certain scenes, like that tracking shot that's in the trailers, and just that entire moment was one of my favourite moments in the entire film. So yeah, not quite a hit, but I still enjoyed it. It is in many ways what I was looking for, but it didn't quite reach the heights of previous Evil Dead movies. I think I found myself perhaps having more fun with Evil Dead Rise, but again, it's a different kind of fun for me, I felt. And what I will say is the humour in moments throughout this film, it's there, but it stood out because of just how nasty this film is, and sort of what it is they are kind of focusing on when it comes to the story and these characters and its themes. It felt like they were purposely avoiding in kind of, bringing that sort of over the top, absurd, fun and slapstick humour that we would come to expect with these movies. That felt intentional. Like they, that wasn't sort of the style or direction that they were going to go with in regards to this movie. And again, I really didn't mind that, but I think it's going to put fans of the franchise off, maybe. So yeah, look, they are my thoughts on Evil Dead Burn, and I will be giving Evil Dead Burn They are my thoughts on Evil Dead Burn. But what did you guys think? Have you seen it yet? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you agree or disagree with anything I've said? Then please let me know in the comments below and let's get a discussion going. The weather at the moment here in the UK is sweltering. It's 8 o'clock in the evening currently as I'm filming right now. And yeah, I found it quite hard because it is incredibly hot. We're going for this extended heat wave, but it kind of reminds me of growing up in the 90s. I felt like going through these long spells of dry, clear weather was a hell of a lot more common as a kid growing up in the 90s. Or maybe that's just, I don't know. Maybe that's just me, I don't know. But anyway, I do apologise that this is a late review. But like I said, life or reality, it's just been a little hectic. But I'm happy that I managed to catch Evil Dead Burn and share my thoughts with you all. And we've got the Odyssey arriving at midnight tonight, actually, but I'm going to catch it tomorrow, and I'm also going to watch it again on Sunday, both in IMAX, and I am incredibly excited for it, and that will be my next review for the channel. So yeah, that's it from me for now, guys. A massive thank you to everyone that supported the channel, whatever it be, liking, commenting, subscribing. It means the absolute world to me. So yeah, that's it from me for now, guys. Thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will catch you guys soon.